Next week. All right, let's get started. Good afternoon. This is Ifan from the Strategic Day Trader, and this is your market wrap for May 21st, 2021. SPY basically flat on the day. Yeah, and then Q's down about 0.5%. Coming into today, the expectation was market need a bit of a rest, right? We had an impressive move off of the support there, and then the expectation was if we gap up, I think we'll get sold in the morning, maybe creep back up in the afternoon. If we gap down, we'll probably just go sideways, maybe inside bar. Unless it's a big gap down, negating most or all of yesterday's price action, then bearish. And that was what we were saying is like the least likely scenario is that we get one of these like gap downs that negates this green bar here, in which case that would be pretty bearish. So what we got is the gap up. So we gapped up and then got sold. So that part of it, I think we were prepared for. We didn't really see any recovery though in the afternoon. And I thought because of the momentum that was kind of going through this move, the recent move up, that we would. Now the pullback also was like very slight. I was saying that we have room back into more of this overlap here and then closer to the 20 MA. So it kind of like took its time. So I think Monday, that we could still see that on Monday, right? We could either a small gap down on Monday or continue to come in a little bit, maybe spend some more time there and then move back up. So what I'll be watching for is actually very similar to what we got here, okay? Gonna be anticipating that when we get some kind of pivot or if we start to consolidate, that the next move up higher is going to be the start of the bullish bias. Now, what happened last time we did this is that we weren't able to make a new high, and then we came back in here. So if, let's say, Monday we move up, we trigger a buy setup, and then we fail on that, then it's all that much more clear that, you know, until we get out of this range right here, then we should just be neutral. Okay, so I'm kind of anticipating the next bullish move is what this all kind of boils down to. SPY is fine already. Like SPY could just base, and then, you know, I think SPY looks ready to go. Yesterday, that's what we said. Also, that the SPY doesn't need as much of a pullback as the Qs does. The pullback hasn't been as deep. The daily hasn't been quite as damaged. Notice that the daily on the Qs here is pointing down, whereas the SPY is flat. This just tells you the extent of the pullback that we got, right? The level of retracement that we got here is deeper on the Qs. So the, you know, hourly actually went into an all-out downtrend there for a bit. Okay, so I think Qs could still pull in a little bit, but then next buy setup, once it triggers the buy setup, is going to be the start of the bullish bias for me. And then SPY already bullish on this. We're basing above the 20 MA. It's a little bit flat here, but the more time we spend up here, the more bullish. Okay. All right. So that is going to be the plan for Monday. Okay. We're just waiting to see if we get some kind of buy setup. Next entry on the Qs or SPY, some kind of bullish pattern. Okay. If we, you know, continue to pull back or we get a big gap down on Monday, right, then we'll have to wait for the next bearish setup to start a bearish bias. So we're not there yet, okay? Unless it's like catastrophe gap, like clearing this whole range, like gap down kind of thing, then yeah, then we'll be bearish, okay? All right, let's go over today's plays. First thing out of the gate here was the triple D. Triple D, here's the daily. Nice daily, kind of putting in the bottom, transitioning higher. The triple D, I was looking for a pullback because I missed the initial breakout here. So I missed this breakout here. On this pullback, I just wanted a red bar to confirm that this buy setup was going to continue. Didn't quite get it. And so that's too bad because that was pretty nice as a buy setup. It was like a 40-cent stop and where it went 4 hours, I think. Yeah. So this was a good play. It went really fast. So, you know, sometimes I feel like there's a bad miss. Sometimes there's something I passed on just because of a problem here or there. This, I don't really feel too bad about. This triple D, especially watched in the morning, moves very, very fast. Okay, and you can see kind of some of the moves it has, very whippy. So it's a good play. You know, it's an all around. I think the probably the best like high quality play I saw all day, and it was right there in the morning. It just moves really fast. This triple D, so you know stuff like that. I'm more likely to miss, so that's okay. That's fine. And then the VFC we were watching all day, and it was also moves pretty fast, but just has spread. And you can see, look at this. Like I'm pretty sure this is real because you can see the volume also kicked up at the same time. So you know this a little bit messy. Actually cleaned itself up right towards the end, and then gave the follow through. So here's the gap on the VFC. So it's not bad. There's some congestion here in the support in the way, but you can see it's pretty loose. So the VFC was okay. Again, on this one, it's fine. I think, to have not like played this one, it's just, yeah, a little bit too messy. This one, that got you, this is what I was looking for at the end here. This was okay. This base breakdown, right there, but this is what I was looking to do at the end of the day here. And it just took forever. Here was the 15-minute, finally got caught up. And then it looks like it was breaking down. So we can carry this over into Monday. So that, because I think the daily still looks great. So, today was, I think, tough in that waiting. It was kind of waiting for my plays. And nothing really set up. It was only like the triple D was kind of just showed up and then off it went, right? It was just, I mean, if you look at the time that it starts the pull, creates the pullback, puts the bottom in the pullback to when it triggers, it's about 2 minutes, right? So you had to be ready for it. And so this, I just wanted a next entry and never gave it. And that happens sometimes with the confirmed entry, right? That's the risk you run, waiting for that, just to get a little bit confirmation that you don't get sucked into the buy setup and have it fail immediately. So like for instance, the RBLX, which I did also do the same thing, waited for here, okay? Waited for here. And then, so it triggered the buy setup here. And then here was the red bar. So I was like, okay, now we can play over the red bar. See this? Here's the 15-minute buy setup, triggers. Here's the red bar. Now I can play over the red bar. Well, what happened? It wouldn't have worked anyway, right? So sometimes it's going to keep you out of plays that have kind of that immediately fail after the trigger, but sometimes they're just going to go. So I thought today was a pretty difficult day in terms of testing how patient I could be, and then also not kind of settling for lower quality plays. Of course, there are going to be some plays I'm going to pass on that work. That's just going to happen every day. But it just kind of couldn't quite get something to be clean enough, to be trading well enough, to really get a play. So no play today. It's been probably a couple months since I've had a day with no trades. But I think this is fine. I'm really don't think it was just anything that I really, really needed to play. Because even the triple D was not on our radar at the open. This was something I found later anyway. So I found it. It was already the 1 minute had already gone. So it was like from the time that I found it to the time where the setup came was like, maybe all of this was like less than 5 minutes from the time I was aware of it. So, that's going to be tough. So these a little bit, it can be done, right? But it's unreasonable to expect I'm going to catch these every time. And then, the Got You and the VFC just, didn't really get going in the morning. And then setups were kind of late to develop. So, hopefully it's just a kind of a Friday, end of the week kind of thing. We are pretty much winding down earnings season, so it's also not that surprising that the pacing of things is starting to slow down. The frequency of the setups and the things that are on the hot list, the number of things on the hot list is also getting smaller. So, you just have to kind of adjust. You don't want to be, trying to force things when it's not the right time. And it's something that I think, learn just through experience. Years ago when I first did the TPM class, the Pristine Method, and learned the methodology, I finished going through the course the week before Thanksgiving. So as you can imagine, I'm like, oh, I know what buy setups and breakouts, and I'm looking for all these setups, and I'm starting during one of the times that's the slowest times of the year, right? Not only that, even from the time from Thanksgiving to Christmas, is typically going to be slow. Unless the market is really moving, those times are going to be slow. So, of course, you can imagine that was a hard time to kind of start and say, all right, let's just, really put the methodology to the test and be super active because I'm excited, right? So, moving out of earnings season into, the next period during the summer before we have the next earnings season, I won't be that surprised if I have another day or two where just nothing is just quite good enough to take a play on. Okay, but hopefully not. Hopefully it's just that was the way it was today, end of the week. All right, but there were some things out there to do too. James had a call here on the TRIT just here in the afternoon, which was nice. So there are some things to do. For me, it was basically a little bit too close to the bottom, but Nike played it as it broke over the space. So that also, says that for you, it may not be the case. You may have had a busier day. You may have found a lot more things to do. Okay, but just for me, I felt like just wasn't that much to do. Okay, but hopefully you did well, or at least stayed out of trouble. We'll be back at it on Monday, and I will talk to you then. Have a good weekend.